Thanks for joining me today to discuss the true cost of care. Just a couple of quick housekeeping items before we get started. All lines have been muted to reduce background noise. The webinar is being recorded for playback purposes, and you'll have the ability to ask questions through the Q&A icon down at the bottom of the screen. So based on time, any questions that were not able to be answered during the time we have allocated will be answered via email. My name is Tracy Andrade. I'm an Associate Wealth Advisor and Certified Financial Planner at Marnoa Private Wealth Counsel. My mission is to preserve and grow client wealth so that they can achieve financial peace of mind and focus on the important things of life. I provide specialized guidance for those individuals in the sandwich generation, for people who support both aging parents and their own children. So the agenda for today is to learn about caregiving trends in Canada and the financial and emotional toll of caregiving. Then we will review your choices that you and your loved ones may face and the important considerations associated with each. Finally, we'll help you formulate a plan. A financial plan will help you, will provide you with a roadmap to navigating the complexities of your unique situation. So when I searched for images of a happy retired couple, this is the image that came up. And I don't know about you guys, but this doesn't accurately represent the majority of retirees that I've met. And it's exciting to think of a retirement filled with travel and hobbies and then leave a healthy estate to loved ones. But the reality is most people's lives will not travel such a straight line. Many people assume that they will spend a lot of their retirement savings when they're younger, healthier, and most active. But the chances are spending will continue to increase due to the rising cost of care. Unexpected problems and expenses will happen, which can disrupt long-term financial plans. So, okay, I have to warn you, I'm going to provide you with a lot of numbers today. Throughout this presentation, I will provide you with real costs so that you have a clear picture of what to expect. So let's talk about what caregiving looks like for Canadians and the impact it has. I meet many people who are providing some form of care for a family or friend, but they don't identify as a caregiver. They simply view it as helping out. So let's see. In the past 12 months, have you done any of the following? Have you helped someone do some chores or attended medical appointments for them? Have you managed their medications or helped them with their finances? Have you arranged for services from other providers or provided or arranged transportation for them or provided financial support? So if you answered yes, you're a caregiver, and it's safe to say you're an unpaid one. So we are in uncharted territory. There is a nationwide shortage of care providers. 80% of care providers have considered changing careers, citing low compensation, inadequate staffing, discrimination, and lack of safety at work. Currently, 1 in 4 Canadians is an unpaid caregiver, and 50% of Canadians will be caregivers at some point in their lives. And over the next 20 years, Canada's seniors population aged 65 and older is expected to grow by 68%. And seniors aged 75 and older is growing at a faster pace. Canada is also facing lower fertility rates and socioeconomic shifts that will decrease the availability of unpaid caregiver support. And by 2050, projections show that there will be 30% fewer unpaid caregivers available to provide support to seniors in need. So this is the perfect storm. Caregivers are getting older, the number of caregivers is shrinking, and the number of Canadians requiring care is rising, and their needs are becoming more challenging. So according to the Canadian Institute for Health Information, total healthcare spending in Canada was expected to reach $372 billion in 2024. So Canada is struggling now more than ever to meet long-term care needs of Canada's rapidly aging population. The cost to care for an aging population will put tremendous pressure on our healthcare system. So will there be enough government funding in the future? So who are our caregivers? The 2024 National Caregiving Survey shows that the average caregivers in Canada are typically middle-aged women who are caring for a parent facing challenges due to aging. 95% of individuals receiving long-term home care have an unpaid caregiver, and caregivers are working an extra shift. They provide an average of 5.1 hours of care a day. That's the equivalent of a full-time job. So it's no wonder that 2 in 5 caregivers are distressed. There's a cost associated with being a caregiver, emotionally, financially, and physically. So in addition to the costs that we're about to discuss, the caregiver will face some themselves. They may potentially have to give up work or reduce their work capacity, and this can have a major impact on their finances. 50% of caregivers have experienced financial stress in the past year due to caregiving, and 1 in 5 caregivers provide financial assistance to their loved ones and have spent at least $1,000 per month on out-of-pocket expenses. Many caregivers can't they can't remain in paid employment at the same time as caring for their loved one. And as a result, they're in a worsened financial position due to their caregiving responsibilities. In a recent study, more than 30% of caregivers are worried about losing their job, or they feel they may have to consider leaving the workforce to take care of their loved ones. And women with higher caregiving demands are 50% more likely to retire early compared to women without caregiving responsibilities. And reduced working hours and years in the workforce impact your retirement income. Women retire with 18% less retirement income on average than men. So even when caregiving responsibilities end, lost earning years can't be made up, leaving irreparable harm to caregivers' savings, their ability to invest for the future, and their retirement. So what does all this data mean for you? It means that you and your loved one have a greater chance of living well into your 90s. But that longer life doesn't guarantee good health for all those years. The goal is to discuss later life care options before there is a need to, so that you're not making these decisions under stress. It's never too soon to understand the risks, allocate assets to cover expenses, and begin developing a plan for the future. Because if you don't make a plan will be made for you. Now let's talk about the care and housing options you can consider. You have no way of knowing when your loved one might have a health problem and need assistance. And by knowing the care options, you can develop a plan that includes their preferences for various scenarios. So it's easy to see why people opt for home care. They want to remain independent and they want their privacy and stay close to friends and doctors. But staying at home can be challenging as people age. So let's look at some issues you'll need to think about when considering this option. How capable is your loved one to perform the activities of daily living, which are feeding, bathing, dressing, toileting, bladder and bowel continence, and transferring? And even if family does live close by, think about how available they are and how suitable they are for the task. One tip is to gather adult children in a room to gauge everyone's willingness and time commitments. This conversation will help you manage expectations and quickly identify and outsource tasks that you aren't able or willing to do. You can also identify opportunities to utilize services within your community. To provide relief and support for caregivers, many people opt for private home care. But are there adequate resources available to pay for these additional expenses? And if not, who will be responsible to cover the shortfall? Occupational therapists assess your loved one's needs, and they can develop a care plan to meet these needs. An inability to perform daily living activities doesn't mean that a person has to leave their home, but it may mean they need to make modifications to their home or bring in support services. And home modifications can be costly, but they can also be necessary to accommodate aging people with deteriorating health. So some things to consider are, single floor living, wide hallways and doorways to permit wheelchairs or walkers, ramps at exterior entries, and grab bars in the tub and shower. To enable someone to stay in their home, consider using smart devices or appliances that can be controlled by a smartphone. So, home care can be subsidized by the government, and it varies according to the resources available in your community. You may receive a fixed number of hours of home care services, but if you need to purchase private care beyond what your province provides, the per hour cost for homemaking, personal care, and nursing care can vary depending on the types of care you need and the costs in your area. So these numbers were based on 2022 numbers. So as you can imagine with inflation, it's already higher than what you're seeing on the screen. Typically, home care supplements the unpaid caregiving that family members provide. So let's look at a case study to see how much home care could potentially cost. 5 hours a day at an average of $50 per hour is $7,600 per month, totaling $91,000 per year. And this is in addition to the unpaid care that family members are currently providing. Another option is a retirement community. So this option can provide family members with peace of mind, as these communities allow you to continue living with your spouse or partner and tend to provide around-the-clock security and assistance. Typical services in the base rates are professional staff on duty 24 hours a day, meals, weekly housekeeping, utilities, but phone and internet might be an additional cost, recreational programs, and scheduled outings. And residents are responsible for paying their own fees, and government subsidies are not provided. And pricing can vary depending on the community and services provided. The cost of a retirement community is broken down into two parts: the base rate and assisted care. So according to a 2021 CMHC Seniors Housing Report, the median monthly cost for a one-bedroom in the Waterloo region is approximately $4,500 to $6,100 per month. For those requiring more than an hour and a half of assistance per day, assisted care options are available. So this is a sample of the assisted care services that are offered at a local retirement community in Cambridge. Let's look at a case study to see how much a retirement community could potentially cost. So depending on how much assistance is required, you can see how costs quickly add up. In this example, this person is paying for a standard suite. They need assistance with showering once a week, taking their medications twice a day, help going to the bathroom, getting in and out of bed, and they need help getting ready in the morning and at bedtime. And a retirement community with assisted care could be $8,700 per month, totaling approximately $105,000 per year. So most people want to age at home, yet 1 in 5 seniors over the age of 80 has complex care needs that can only be safely met in long-term care. Long-term care facilities are for people who require 24-hour nursing care. All nursing and care expenses are covered by the government. However, all long-term care homes require residents to contribute towards the cost of accommodations and meals. And this is called a co-payment fee. And the amount is based on the type of room that you're in. Monthly co-payment fees can range from $2,000 to $2,900 per month. Residents living in basic accommodations who can't afford the co-payment fee may be eligible for financial help through the Long-Term Care Rate Reduction Program. You must apply for the rate reduction program annually. Currently, the amount of financial assistance is based on an income calculation, not an asset calculation. This means that a senior's assets are not a factor in determining how much financial assistance they will receive. It's only based on their annual income. So caring for an aging population will put immense strain on our healthcare system. Will government funding be sufficient to meet the growing demand? And could we potentially see a shift towards assessing personal assets to determine eligibility for financial assistance rather than just income alone? Nearly 48,000 people are currently waiting for long-term care. The average wait time in the Waterloo region for a placement in long-term care facility can depend on a number of factors. But if your loved one is currently receiving acute care in a hospital, the median wait time for a placement is about 70 days. For others, the median wait time is 269 days. And this may separate spouses because simultaneous admission is not guaranteed. Wow, those were a lot of numbers. I told you they would be shocking. Being a caregiver can feel overwhelming, but you're not alone. Now that we have a better understanding of care options and the associated costs, let's formulate a plan. According to the 2025 FB Canada Financial Stress Index, 42% of Canadians say that money is their top source of stress, followed by personal health at 21%, and relationships and work are tied at 17%. Working with a certified financial planner can help alleviate your stress. So my approach to wealth management goes beyond traditional financial planning. I understand that my clients' financial well-being is interconnected with their emotional, physical, and mental well-being. And when I work with clients, we work together as a team to create a plan that's the right fit for their family. I've seen many of our clients balancing their own retirement planning needs with the increasing financial needs that come with being a caregiver for aging parents. And that's why I think it's crucial to plan for the financial and emotional implications of becoming a caregiver before it's too late. I can help you create a comprehensive financial plan that factors in all of the moving parts of your life while stress testing it for potential care expenses. My proactive approach can protect your family's future. So, where do we start? Starting a conversation with your parents about caregiving needs and expenses can be really challenging. It's not just about logistics or finances. It's about navigating a shift in roles and responsibilities. And these discussions often bring up sensitive topics like aging, independence, long-term care planning, and it can make them emotionally charged. Even in close families, it's easy to feel unsure about how to begin or what to say. But this conversation is very important. There is no way that you can plan your financial future without understanding upcoming expenses. So here are my tips for a successful conversation. Often this is an emotional conversation, so try and pick the right time. Choose a relaxed, private moment so that everybody feels comfortable. Listen first. Avoid the urge to solve too quickly. Just let them share and ask clarifying questions so that you have a better understanding. Respect their wishes, even if you disagree. Remember, it's their future to shape. Try and stay calm. These conversations take time, and it's okay if it's not perfect. Be patient. You may have to try many times to have this conversation. So even if we've started thinking seriously about caregiving plans, our parents might not be there yet. They may not have given it much thought, or they may be avoiding it altogether. And that's completely normal. These are big emotional topics, and everybody processes them at their own pace. So take notes. Keep a record of what was discussed for later planning. So here are some questions that you can ask to get this conversation started. Have you thought about what kind of care you want if you couldn't live independently anymore? What do you think about home care, assisted living, or nursing care? Do you have a current will or power of attorney or a healthcare directive in place? Where are these documents kept? And when was the last time they were reviewed or updated? Does the executor or power of attorney understand what this responsibility entails? Are they suitable or capable for the job? What are your wishes if you become seriously ill and you can't make decisions for yourself. What are your wishes about life support, resuscitation, comfort care? This is important because it can take the burden off those who will need to make these decisions. Do you have long-term care insurance or any other plans to cover care costs? If not, how do you want to handle these expenses? Your loved one may think they have adequately saved for retirement, but they may not have a realistic picture of the true costs. You may discover that they didn't save enough. So will you be responsible to pay these costs? And how does this impact your finances? How do you currently manage your finances, and would you want help with this in the future? Sometimes one spouse handles the finances, so it's important to understand how they manage their finances and which professionals they work with so that you can help them in the future if they need it. Where would you prefer to live if staying at home is no longer safe or practical? Do you want to stay home with help, move in with family, a retirement community, long-term care facility? And then you need to ask yourself, are you suitable to provide care to a loved one? Are you in a financial position to reduce your work capacity or give up work completely to care for a loved one? Do you have a preference about who helps with your care? Do you want it to be family, professional, a mix? This will give you a better understanding of comfort levels with outside caregivers or living arrangements. And what activities, routines, or traditions are important to you to maintain, even if you may need help. So maybe spending holidays at home is very important to them, but they can't host it anymore. We have discussed a lot of things today, and I am almost losing my voice. Oh, I'm sorry. Here are some things that I want you to take away from our time together. 1 in 4 Canadians is currently a caregiver to a family member or a friend. And 50% of Canadians will be caregivers at some point in their lives. And we are heading into uncharted territory. Caregivers are getting older, the number of available caregivers is shrinking, and the number of Canadians requiring care is rising, and their care needs are more complex. So this increases the need for careful retirement planning. Number 2, explore care options. The goal is to discuss later life care options with your loved one before there is a need to, so that you're not making decisions under stress. Consider my 5 tips for a successful conversation. And after this webinar, you'll receive an email with a care conversation starter guide that outlines the 10 questions to ask your parents now. Number 3, create a plan. You have no way of knowing when your loved one might have a health problem and need assistance. So by knowing the options, you can develop a plan that includes their preferences for various scenarios. Remember, your life is interconnected with your loved ones, and their lives can have a direct impact on your financial plan. Consider working with a certified financial planner who can help navigate your complex situation. So my name is Tracy Andrade, and I provide specialized guidance for the sandwich generation who support both aging parents and their own children. I can help you navigate the complexities of your situation. So if you don't know where to start or you have questions, book a discovery meeting to see how I can help. Please reach out by scanning the QR code on your screen.